welcome everyone. Season 3, Episode 1 of the Kota College Football Central Show, presented by the Kota Sports Gambling Network. People wanted to cancel us after Season 1. Somehow we made it to Season 2. Season 2, I really thought we were going to get canceled. Somehow, some way, we are back. Season 3. I'm so excited. We got a great group. We got new segments coming. It's a brand new show, fresh show, a lot of great stuff happening. I'm excited. Let's introduce the panelists really quick. My name is Kyle Comas, and joining me, we have the co-host of the Gabacho Baracho Soccer Podcast and an avid Husker fan. We got Mr. Corey Adair. We have the other co-host of the Gabacho Baracho Podcast and an avid Hawkeye fan. We got Mr. Thomas Miller. We got the co-host of the Not Another College Football Podcast and an avid Michigan State Spartans fan. We got Mr. Beast Picks. And joining for the first time this season, we are excited to have him. We got the Minnesota fan himself. We got Mr. Action Junkie. Fellas, it is Season 3, Week 1, or Week 0, but first episode. How are we doing today?
Fired up. Let's go.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's the best way to describe it. We were kind of talking before the show. All the guys are fired up for college football to be back. I can't believe couple days out. I mean, I'm counting down the minutes at this point. I'm just ready to get it going, boys. I'm excited to be talking ball again with everybody. It's a good time of year.
Oh yeah, I mean, even in a normal season, Notre Dame Navy is a game that you might turn on, might not turn on. So it's a decent value for a Week 0 game. But in all reality, we're almost exactly 9 days away from Gus Gasms in Minneapolis. So let's go.
There you go, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally psyched for this season. Ready to do some gambling, win some money, hopefully. Let's do it.
Absolutely. Well, fellas, we got a great show ahead. We got lots of talk we're going to be talking about. But before we get started, I did it in Season 1. I'm doing it in Season 2. It's not going away in Season 3. We're starting every show with a trivia question. One team was ranked number 1 in the preseason poll and finished the season unranked. So that is the trivia question. Who is the one team that finished number 1 in the preseason AP poll and finished the year unranked?
Since what year?
2000.
Yeah.
So I will let you guys think about that while I do our ad read. We are very pumped. We have a new sponsor for the Kota College Football Central Show. It is Better Edge. Better Edge is a social betting marketplace. It's legal in 45 different states and it operates like a marketplace. So how does that work? For example, let me just throw it out to you. Let's say someone wants to bet Navy Notre Dame. Someone on the platform likes Navy money line and places an order on that line for $10. Another person on the platform also likes Notre Dame money line for $10. Boom. You now got an exchange. That's what makes it legal. It's not person to sports book. It's person to person, which operates as an exchange. And, you know, most sports books, you got lines that are really juiced on spreads and over-unders. All Better Edge lines are usually minus 100, plus 100. You get a higher payback. They have several competitions. They have battle royales. They have survivors. They have chaser competitions. It keeps things competitive. And the other thing that makes it really cool is it also operates like social media as well. So people can post their picks in their timeline and followers can see it. Action, I know you use Better Edge quite a bit. What are your thoughts about the platform? I know you use it quite often.
Yeah, I'm supporting the hat today, and I got the shirt on, so I'm a big fan of Better Edge. You know, the greatest thing is if you don't like a number, you can set your own number. You're never going to get a bad line. That's kind of the thing I tell a lot of people. A lot of different angles to make money on the platform. You can create the bet. You can play the bets. Yeah, it's just a good platform, and the more we grow the user base, the better it's going to be.
Yep, absolutely couldn't have said it better myself. So we recommend going to their website, www.betteredge.com. You can use promo code Kyle. You can use promo code Beast, promo code Corey, promo code Thomas. Your promo code is Action, right?
I'm Play Me, but it's okay.
Play Me, yeah. You use any of those codes, you get $20 added to your account. I mean, it's free money. You deposit money, you get $20 added to your account. We recommend Better Edge. Go to their website, www.betteredge.com today. All right, gentlemen. So going back to the trivia question, since I gave you time to think about it, since the year 2000, one AP preseason #1, finished the year unranked. Who is it? Nobody ever wants to start. That's the tough thing. So I just got to choose somebody. Beast, I'll start with you. Who do you think it is?
You know, I'm going to just wild card it here. I think we're going to go with the University of Miami. I got a feeling that maybe there was a season there in the 2000s that they came in #1, but I could be wrong. We're going to go University of Miami. Fuck it, we ball.
All right, sounds good. Thomas, who do you think it is?
See, I don't have like a good year guess, but I mean, I think it's Auburn after the Cam Newton year. I think it's them. It might be LSU.
So which one are you going with?
I'm going Auburn. I'm going whatever year that was, Auburn.
Going Auburn. All right, sounds good. Action, who do you think it is?
I was leaning Florida State or LSU, and I'm going to go LSU.
Okay, sounds good. And Corey, wrap it up. Who do you think it is?
It's funny because I was going to go Florida State.
Okay, sounds good. So the year was 2012. Unfortunately, none of you are right. It is USC was the team. That was when they had Matt Barkley. They started the regular season winning 6 out of their first 7 games, but finished the season winning only 1 of their last 6 games. The very next year, Lane Kiffin got fired, and Matt Barkley was the go-to Heisman person, didn't even finish in the top 10.
Yeah, I specifically remember that too, because ESPN was like all up in Matt Barkley's jock, dude. They were posting it out there like he was gonna be the greatest thing since Tom Brady, and he just nice guy, I think, but not a great quarterback.
Did you guys see him in that NFL preseason game last week? He had 3 picks. It was disgusting.
Jeez.
But yeah, so okay, maybe I'll go a little bit easier next time. So, all right, gentlemen. So like I said, we got a long show ahead. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Let's start the show as we do every season with Heisman Trophy odds. So what I did was I took the top Heisman people from FanDuel and just kind of see who we got for a top 10. I just want everyone, and don't forget, I do come back to this. So don't think that you're going to throw a take out there and it's just going to be let go. I will come back to this at some point. So Heisman Trophy odds from FanDuel. We got, to start off, we have the Heisman Trophy winner from last year. Caleb Williams is the odds-on favorite at +500. Jaden Daniels coming in at +1,000. Jordan Travis and Quinn Ewers at +1,200. Cade Klubnik at +1,400. Michael Penix at +1,600. And then we got 4 guys at +1,800 in JJ McCarthy, Bo Nix, Drake May, and Sam Hartman. Carson Beck coming in at +2,000, Drew Aller at +2,500, and Joe Milton at +2,500. I know there's a lot of other people out there. So again, if you just want to give like a value play, maybe a long shot if you have one, and then just go ahead and say who you think your lock for the Heisman is this year. But Beast, we'll start with you. Who do you got as maybe like a long shot or a value? And then who is your lock to win the Heisman this year?
Okay, so we're going long shot, and then we're doing value, you said?
You can do long shot, value, and lock is what I did.
Perfect. Yeah, so I got 3. Yeah, so my long shot, I'm going to go with Drake May here at +1,800. It's hard to watch him last year and see all the talent that he has as a dual threat quarterback and not at least give him a shot at +1,800. That's a good dark horse kind of long shot play. It's all going to come down to if North Carolina can win games. But I'll go to a value play. I think at +1,200, getting Jordan Travis with how much talent that kid has and how good I think Florida State is going to be this year. I don't understand how he's +1,200 here. If he can stay healthy, that is such a nice look at +1,200. But even better odds than my value play, which is a little bit backwards, but he is my pick for the Heisman this year. And I'll face some backlash. It's going to be Cade Klubnik at +1,400.
Ooh,
I know a lot of people are like, we haven't seen him, but I really, really like that we're getting new offensive coordinator, Riley's brother, correct? Yeah, Lincoln Riley's brother. It's Garrett Riley. Yeah, Garrett Riley. Really liked what he did with TCU last year and Max Duggan. He was really good at SMU prior to that. those offenses that he ran were always top 15 offenses the last 3 years. I think that if Cade Klubnik is the real deal, which 5-star out of high school, I liked what I saw out of him towards the end of the year last year. Hey, I think him in this new offense with this new look with Garrett Riley, I think there's a really good chance that Clemson has enough tools around him. We're going to go with Cade Klubnik. We're taking it to the club, you know? Like
Okay. Okay, sounds good. Action will go to you. What do you got for Heisman this year?
Tell you what, that's a tough act to follow. I would never touch any of these plays, just for the record myself, but since you want me to go on the record, my long shot is way off the board. Braylon Allen, Wisconsin. He's a plus 8,000 there on FanDuel. Only 3 running backs have won the Heisman since Ron Dane won it for Wisconsin back in '99. Got a lot of variable changes there. New coach. You got a new quarterback coming in, Mordecai. So I think it's interesting to see what's going on at Wisconsin. He may be the best running back in the game, so that's why he's worth a flyer at a plus 8,000 potentially. My value play, maybe Bo Nix at Oregon. He's a plus 1,800. Their schedule strength gets way easier. I think it's 40 spots easier this year than last year from a schedule strength perspective. He's already made 47 starts, Bo Nix. He's been around forever. His 5th year, of course, between the Auburn and Oregon. I think the Ducks will average 40 points per game, so that's why I think he's a good value play. My guy, though, I'm going back-to-back. Move over, Archie. Caleb Williams plus the 500. Let's just do it.
All right, very good. Thomas, we'll go to you now. What do you got for Heisman?
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody in a top 10, anybody 18 to 1 odds could possibly win it. Maybe excluding JJ McCarthy. I just don't think he's going to put up huge numbers. Really, the only way he could ever win it, just with the style that Michigan plays. And I mean, they're going to blow out a lot of teams, especially in their non-conference. He's not going to be putting up crazy numbers in that part. The only way he could really win it is if he was like the absolute MVP, best player on the field against Penn State, against Ohio State, and maybe the Big Ten championship, something like that. For my long shot, I'll go with Carson Beck. He's kind of a weird-looking human. I always like weird-looking humans. Aside from that, I mean, you got a 5-star guy taking over for Stetson Bennett, which a lot of people, including myself, like I don't really believe that he was that great of a guy, that great of a quarterback, but he still put up like crazy huge numbers. And now you got this guy that's just like, I mean, absolutely talent out the window. I mean, he hasn't shown anything yet. The only clips you can ever even find of him are from a spring game when nobody's even really rushing him. I think, and it's something we'll get into the conference previews, I think Georgia's pass rush is going to get them into a situation where their defense isn't going to be as good as it has been in the previous years. So I think he's going to put up huge numbers. He might actually be my pick, but I'll just jump to who I think is going to win. And I'm going to go with Michael Penix Jr.
Ooh, okay.
It's his 6th year starting contract year. He's trying to get that max extension to finish his career out at Washington or somewhere else. So, I mean, I think he's going to play until he's like 37 in college. And I think this is the year. I think they're going to be a top 10 team all year, and I think he's going to put up huge numbers.
Okay, sounds good. So we got 3 different locks for the Heisman. Corey, let's see if we'll make it 4. What do you got for the Heisman this year?
All right. So for my long shot, I'm going to, let's see here. I am going to follow Action's lead. I'm going to go with a running back, but I'm going to go with a different running back. I'm going to go with Quinshon Judkins. I think he tore it up in the SEC West last year. I think he's primed as a true sophomore to tear it up again this year. I also think that if somebody's going to win it and it's not Bama this season, I like Ole Miss just as much as I like anybody else. It's typically been Bama or LSU, but if you're going to go against the grain, I liked the adjustments that Lane Kiffin made last year from a team perspective, running the ball more, trying, not necessarily to outscore everybody at a breakneck pace. I think that style fits better in that division, and I think he's a big part of it. I think that he's got just as good of a chance as any of these long shots. As for my value pick, I'm going to go with Sam Hartman. I think he's going to have a better defense at Notre Dame than he did at Wake. I think that having a quarterback with that type of ability is exactly what Notre Dame was missing last year. And I don't know. I like it. I think that he very well could win it, to be honest with you, not just a value, but actually, you know what? I'll double down on that. That's who I'm going to pick to win it.
Oh,
Like it.
whoa.
Like it.
Okay.
I mean, what's the difference between plus 500, plus 1,800 on a Heisman pick? I mean,
Fair.
you know, it's in general, it's not the favorite, and you've got just as good of a chance picking any of the top 10 guys. So give me Hartman.
Yeah.
All
This
right.
might sound like a stupid statement, but I mean, if Notre Dame has a really good season,
He's winning it.
He's gonna win it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I kind of feel that way about Jaden Daniels a little bit too. You know, if LSU has,
LSU, yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I think in that situation he'd have to put up a little bit more numbers than what he typically does to win the Heisman for LSU. But I know that Hartman's going to put up the numbers if Notre Dame has a good season.
I like it.
So this is actually gonna be really good content, and this could be really good for a graphic because all 5 of us have different locks for the Heisman, which is awesome. So I'll go really quick. So for my long shot, I had the exact same as Corey. I love Quinshon Judkins at plus 8,000. I mean, as a freshman, 1,600 yards and 16 TDs. Are you kidding me? Like, that's insane in that SEC. I know I'm a stats nerd, but like if you want to look at like highlights of him, he's about as quick as they come. You get him in open field, ain't nobody getting him. So I think, you know, throw $1 on it to win 800. What the heck? So I like Quinshon Judkins. My value is Thomas's lock. I like Michael Penix for value at plus 1,800. He was very, very solid last year. He is arguably one of the best wide receivers in the country returning in Rome Odunze. They have a fairly manageable schedule in the Pac-12, and I think his numbers could be really good. Now, if you listen to anything that I've done this offseason, you know who my lock's going to be. I'm rolling with Jordan Travis. I love Jordan Travis this year. I love Florida State a lot. You know, he's returning not as many receivers last year. They got a really solid transfer in Johnny Wilson. They brought in South Carolina tight end Jaheim Bell as well. His core is going to be very, very good. They have a solid running back. I think this is Florida State's year, and I think this is the time that Jordan Travis thrives. So I'm taking Jordan Travis for my lock for the Heisman.
I like it. I really do. And Kyle's hyped it up, but like I said, man, he's just got so much talent. He's a stud, man.
And I think it's fair to say that I think all 5 of our Heisman locks, all 5 of them could easily have a very good shot. So
yeah,
it's wide open this year.
Yeah,
I mean, and that's probably some of my best advice is to spray the board if you're gonna do Heisman bets. I mean, yes, Caleb Williams at plus 500 is pretty good, but if you spray the board on some of these other plus 1,000 or more bets, if you hit, I mean, you'll probably make your money back. You just got to hope that you pick one of the right guys, you know.
Well, like Action said too, like it's almost always a QB. They've had 3 running backs since Ron Dane. You know, Devonta Smith won it the 1 year as a wide receiver. It's a quarterback thing, and you look at those Heisman odds, like it's all quarterbacks. You got to go a ways down to get like a non quarterback, and I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is the highest non QB odds for the Heisman too. So just a low value there, but like it's been said too, it's just tough when it's not if you're going to go non a QB because it just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
One last thing, I guess, real quick, if I can, like Quinn Ewers at Texas, if he's not pulled by like the 6th game, like that's going to mean that he is the odds-on favorite to win the Heisman after 6 games, because if they lose to Bama or whatever, like all the alumni and supporters of Texas are going to be, you know, calling for Arch Manning. I think that his number is kind of crazy, that like he's the tied for 3rd best odds, you know. Like I really think he's going to end up getting pulled, you know, in favor of Arch Manning. But like if there was a case that he didn't, if they beat Alabama and they destroy Oklahoma and he stays in, then I mean, he might be the guy too.
They're at a halftime. Get that bet in,
dude. And honestly too, I think if you're looking, you know, stretching out to top 15, I know that this will come up later in conversation, but I think that Ohio State's on the rebound. And if Ohio State wins the Big Ten, McCord could very well have a chance. So that might even be worth a little bit of a sprinkle.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with McCord because his Heisman odds dropped significantly. He was like a plus 18. I looked recently. He's like a plus 2,800 all of a sudden.
Yep.
They haven't named a starter. That's why I think, right?
Yeah.
I think they're in a battle. That's what I was just looking at.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if McCord didn't win though.
Well,
but that's for the conference previews when we talk about that. But all right, gentlemen. So we're going to talk all 5 Power 5 teams. We're going to go through every single team's odds to win the conference. So what we'll do is if you have a value play for someone that maybe could potentially win the conference, feel free to throw that out. And then once again, like the Heisman Trophy odds, let's go with locks as well. Who you think is a lock to win each conference. Let's start with the ACC though. And by the way, all these odds are going to name. It's via Caesars Sportsbook. We will be using Better Edge odds all season long, but for this particular one, they didn't have. They did have some. I just looked. They did have some futures. I didn't get a chance to get those uploaded, unfortunately. So we're just gonna go with Caesars for this show. But anyways, let's start with the ACC. So odds to win the ACC, we got Clemson at plus 120 as the odds-on favorite. Florida State at plus 145. North Carolina and Louisville at plus 1,200. Miami at plus 1,600. North Carolina State at plus 1,800. Pittsburgh at plus 2,000, Duke at plus 3,000, Wake Forest at plus 5,000, Virginia Tech and Syracuse at plus 8,000, Georgia Tech at plus 10,000, Boston College and Virginia rounded out. And feel free to bet it if you want, but you're going to be wasting your money at plus 15,000. So those are the odds there. Thomas, we'll start with you. What do you got with the ACC?
I mean, this kind of throws a wrench in the strategy, the concept of the show. Like, I don't think there's I really don't think there's a dark horse you could bet in the ACC unless I mean, North Carolina's third best odds, tied for third best odds. I guess they could be a team to mess things up. But my lock is Florida State. I'm right on with you guys. I drafted them in the team draft, and yeah, I think it's gonna be a big year for them. I mean, they'll have a chance to get to the playoff, but I think something like 12-1 winning the conference is totally doable for them. I like Florida State a lot. They got a ton of talent. They're coming back.
Yeah, I'll kind of echo what Thomas said. I think like if you're not betting Clemson or Florida State, I don't know what you're doing, to be honest with you. But I did choose a team for value. I do like Duke at plus 3,000. I know they have arguably probably the toughest schedule in the conference. Riley Leonard's returning, and he was very, very solid last year. And they return, when I kid you not, I say everybody. I mean, they return everybody in that offensive wide receiver, tight end, running back skill set. They returned 6 starters on defense. That was very solid. Some people say maybe that defense was a fluke because they played such a poor schedule. I don't think so. I think they're going to surprise some people this year. So I think that's not bad at plus 300. And you guys already know who I'm going for to win the conference. So I'm just going to keep it short and sweet. I'm taking Florida State plus 145 to win the conference. Just take everything I said about Jordan Travis, just repeat it in your mind. And I'm also didn't even mention they're bringing back 1,000-yard rusher and Trey Benson as well, returning 7 starters on defense. They have a really solid edge rusher in Jared Verse, who led the team in sacks last year. He has a high profile, might even go first round in the NFL draft next year. I love Florida State a lot. I am with Thomas. I'm also taking Florida State plus 145 to win the conference. Corey, we'll go to you now. Who do you got for the ACC?
All right. So, I mean, I don't avidly watch the ACC very much. I do know that this is a conference that really doesn't hang its hat on defense very much. From what I gather with scores and over-unders, looking at the box scores. So for my value, I'll take a team that I know wants to play defense. I'll take NC State. I mean, we're really just throwing darts at a dartboard here. So if I'm going to take a value play, it'll be NC State. And then if I'm going to pick a lock, I mean, you go with them until you beat them. You got to take Clemson. I mean, they've pretty much reigned supreme over this conference since Jameis Winston left Florida State. I don't know if necessarily this is the year that changes. So I'm going to just roll with Clemson. They're the ones that are the team to beat.
All right, very good. Beast, we'll go to you now. What do you got for the ACC?
So is a dark horse kind of value play. I'm going to take UNC plus 1,200. Same thing I really said about Drake May. Just think he's a stud. If he really performs at his top of his peak, I think they could make some noise. Going to be tough, though, because I think Florida State at plus 145 is going to be my winner. And I think they really are the best team in this conference. And just as Kyle said, I mean, you're getting Jordan Travis back, Johnny Wilson's stud, Trey Benson's a stud. But I got to shout out my Michigan State Spartan. Keon Coleman coming over to Florida State is a huge addition. And people do not realize he was on Michigan that stunk last year, and he caught like 55 passes, 800 yards. He's going to provide a ton of targets for that Jordan Travis and that offense. I think they're going to be really solid this year. So do not sleep on Keon Coleman in the transfer portal. He's going to be a dog, man.
All right, nope, that's very well said. And Action, wrap it up for us.
You guys know your college football. I'm impressed, by the way. I feel like a fool with what I'm going to say here, but from a value play, I wouldn't touch it. But the team getting disrespected with the odds, Pittsburgh is not the sixth worst team in the ACC. Mm-hmm. Pittsburgh is way underrated there, being at a plus 2,000. Won't touch it. If I had to touch somebody from a value perspective, a couple of you put Mr. May in your Heisman mix. When you have that type of talent, you have a Mac Brown coach that knows how to coach. He's been around forever. If they ever play defense, they could do something. So at a plus 1,200, I think they're legit. But if I had to put my money in the ACC for the graphic, I guess you're making me pick somebody. I'll go Florida State. But what I'm going to do in the ACC, I'm actually going to bet both Clemson and Florida State. I'm going to be boring. I'm going to agree with you guys and say one of these two teams is going to win it. I'm not going to make a lot of scratch, but I'm going to build a little of the bankroll. So I'm actually going to play both of those teams in real life. But for this contest, I'll go Florida State.
Okay. Nope. That's very well said. And I actually like what you said about Pittsburgh, too. I think any team that's coached by Pat Narduzzi is going to be an under the dog team no matter what. And that's a team you shouldn't sleep on either. So I like that. I like them a lot as well. But all right, gentlemen. So before we get to this conference, I have to stress the point that we are going to disagree on this conference. We are going to have major disagreements. And I have to stress that before we get into arguments, let everybody go. And then afterwards, we will talk about those said arguments. But I'm just going to throw out right now that there will be disagreements on takes and stuff like that. So let's let everybody go. And then afterwards, we'll address those. Sound good? Am I being unfair by saying that?
No, not at all.
I disagree.
Okay. Jeremy, you're putting yourself in a bad position because I think if I let it go, we're going to be going till about 9:30 here. So,
okay, fair enough.
you'll see though. So the Big Ten. Let's talk about the Big Ten here for value and locks. So we got Ohio State at plus 175 as the favorite to win. Michigan at plus 180. Penn State at plus 575, Wisconsin at plus 900, Iowa at plus 1,000, Minnesota at plus 1,600, Illinois at plus 2,000, Nebraska at plus 2,200, Maryland and Michigan State at plus 10,000, Purdue at plus 12,500, Indiana and Northwestern at plus 20,000, and Rutgers at plus 30,000 to win the conference. So I'll start it off, and I want to start it off just to get it out of the way. I think it's foolish to think that somebody from the East isn't going to win the conference this year. I think the East is where it's at. If I had to put a value bet on somebody, I'm going to put a value on the team that I think is going to win the West, and that's Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin, you bring in a guy like Luke Fickell, who's had some success, in college. They have a really solid quarterback transfer and Tanner Mordecai, who's coming over, who had over 3,500 yards and 33 TDs. They have one of the best running backs in college football in Braylon Allen. They returned their top receiver from last year. And defensively, they returned 7 starters. So I think if you had to bet value, you should bet someone from the West, because I think the East, there's going to be 1 or 2 teams that wins it. As far as my lock to win the conference, I am going to go Ohio State at plus 175, the favorite to win. I give them a slight nod over Michigan, but in my opinion, if Kyle McCord turns out to be even a halfway decent QB with the weapons he has around him, he's going to be fine. I mean, you got Marvin Harrison Jr., Emeka Ibuka, Julian Fleming, Cade Stover's a solid tight end. You're bringing back Mayan Williams and Travion Henderson at running back. And people just say, oh, Ohio State's just offense. Their defense is returning 7 starters, and 7 starters on a defense that gave up 21 points per game. So, including their leading tackle, Tommy Eichenberg, who's a preseason All-American. I think I like Ohio State a lot this year. I'm big on Ohio State, so I'm taking them to win the conference at plus 175. But Beast, we'll go to you now. What do you got for the Big Ten?
Well, Kyle, you kind of took a lot of the words out of my mouth because I got to go with Wisconsin plus 900 as my dark horse. And I can see Corey just like writhing in pain hearing that. But you're spot on, Kyle. I'm a big Luke Fickell guy, always have been. And I really liked Tanner Mordecai at SMU. He was a stud. And Braylon Allen is, a monster at running back. I really liked what Action Junkie was kind of saying about he might be one of the better running backs that you're going to find out there. So I just think there's enough on this offense. They're returning 7 starters on defense. This is a solid team. So you got to take a plus 900 as that value, if you ask me. Hopefully they don't disappoint as Wisconsin does sometimes, but as the winner of the conference, I hate to say it, but it's going to be Ohio State plus 175. Just like Kyle said, doesn't really matter if they're putting a new quarterback out there. They recruit just as good as anybody in the country. You're getting Henderson and Williams both back at running back. And they also, if you ask me, when you look at their schedule, they're going to enter that Michigan game unbeaten. And I just think that they've had enough in the past 2 years of losing to Michigan. Something's going to be boiling in their blood. And I think they pull off the upset and make it to the championship. And as Kyle said, I don't see anybody from the West being able to overtake Ohio State. So we're going to take them at plus 175.
All right. Beast and I are neck and neck. I saw Action go like this when I said Ohio State, so I think I know who he's going to go with, but go ahead.
No, actually, I don't know. I was just messing around with you. But as a Gopher fan, I have to say I'd rather be dead than red, but I do like money. So from a value perspective, I agree with everyone on Wisconsin plus 900. They have the easiest path. I actually had to look at the rules for a 3-way tiebreaker because I believe Penn State's a really, really good football team. I think they're going to go 11-1. They're only going to lose to Ohio State on the road. Ohio State can go 11-1, losing only to Michigan on the road, and Michigan will lose to Penn State on the road. I'm going to just play Penn State plus the 575. I just have a funny feeling that maybe because of Harbaugh's suspension and a little bit of drama there, Michigan could be a little overhyped right now. And I don't think it'll be the Wolverines. I agree with a lot of what you guys were saying about Ohio State. But at that price, I'm looking at the plus 575, and I'm going to roll the dice if I have to play it with Penn State. I wouldn't touch any of these, of course, in the Big Ten because you have too many teams that could potentially win it on that east side. But Penn State would be my pick plus the 575.
No, I like it. I like it a lot. And like you said, there's people have talked about the possibility very well of being a three team tie in the East too. So that very well could happen. Thomas, we'll go to you now.
Yeah, I mean, actually, Junkie kind of took the words out of my mouth that I was gonna say. My value play, Penn State, same exact thing I was looking at. I mean, they host Michigan. They'll probably lose at Ohio State. Everybody could be 11-1 kind of thing. But I don't think the Harbaugh thing is going to be a big issue. He's going to miss 3 games, which are East Carolina, UNLV, and Bowling Green, and he'll be back unless the NCAA steps in, which probably won't. I don't know.
I do think they did. Before you go on, I do think that's the suspension got lifted. I don't think he's suspended anymore.
I thought they self-imposed.
Yeah, allegedly Michigan is imposing their own suspension.
Oh,
okay. I don't even know what
that
that means, but like either way, you're right that these are meaningless opponents.
Okay,
Yeah,
nope, I didn't see that then. So okay, disregard
almost
me.
as easy of a 3-game stretch as last year, almost.
Anyways, continue, Thomas.
Yeah, I think it's I'll go just to switch it up a little bit. I'll go with Michigan. I think you got McCarthy, you got Corum, Corey's favorite player. So I mean, yeah, I think Michigan still hangs on, and it's at the big house, So I mean, it's gonna be tough for Ohio State to pull that one off. Even though I think I think we're looking at like maybe a 1 versus 5 or something matchup in that game for sure. But I think Michigan wins that, and then Yeah, they're gonna be my pick. 180.
Okay. Sounds good. Now, Corey, you've been very nice and you haven't interrupted us at all. So I'm going to give you that same respect while you go. And then afterwards, if we need to air our grievances so we have a fresh slate going into the season, I'm fine with that. But go ahead and give your analysis first.
All right. So I am going to echo, 3 out of the 4 of you. I will say that it's been 26 years since Michigan's beaten Ohio State 3 times in a row. And it's going to turn into that team up north. And it's going to be pure unadulterated hatred. I mean, I think that this might be the best installment of this matchup in 20 years, as far as just a pure visceral hate between these two teams. I think I cannot wait for that game. I think that this is going to be the most fun one in a long time. I do think Ohio State wins that one. I just think that pendulum swings, Michigan in general, pendulum swings. Harbaugh has never been that 12-0 coach his entire career. And to hit that 2 times in a row, he's got to revert back to the mean at some point in time. I mean, nobody wants to mention it, but they did have a losing record, but the year before they went undefeated. So at some point in time, this has got to come back to a middle ground. I feel like this is a 10-2 season. He's a 10-2 coach, and I'm not convinced. You cannot convince me that Blake Corum is going to carry him to 12-0 again. So Ohio State would be my lock. I think for value, I'm going to go Penn State just because it's plus 575. I think that it's an East team. This might be a situation where you do what Action did earlier and you just sprinkle on all 3 of those teams. It's not going to make you a ton of money, but you're probably going to win a bet and make a little bit. I disagree on the Wisconsin take.
Okay, here we go. Let's get into it then. Let's do it.
Wholeheartedly. I mean, we're talking about a head coach that had the best talent in the conference and couldn't even put together a winning season. You guys are going to announce him as dark horse favorites or dark horse chance team to win the conference. You're talking about a team that's completely abandoning its identity. I don't understand how we think that this offensive line is all of a sudden going to just change their stripes and be able to pass block like that. I don't know how this air raid's going to look. I do know if they're smart, they're going to lean on Braylon Allen. And at that point, Action's pointing the point he made during the Heisman Trophy talk, that has potential if they do that, but it doesn't sound like they're going to. This to me screams square peg round hole. I don't see. I mean, the last time a Big Ten team won the conference with an air raid, Drew Brees was quarterback, and I don't think Mordecai's a Drew Brees. Simple as that. So I don't think Wisconsin even wins the West. If I have to throw a dart at the dartboard, I'm going to go Illinois. They've gotten better every year. It's Bielema. He knows how to win the conference. He knows how to win the Big Ten. And as long as it's not Ohio State in that game, if I'm wrong about my lock and it's Michigan or Penn State, I mean, Illinois just beat Penn State in the craziest game ever 2 years ago. I think that if they get the momentum and get to Indianapolis and it's either Michigan or Penn State, they match up in a way that they could win that.
Okay, so I'm gonna chime in here just for a moment. So, and I know Beast might have some thoughts too, and I don't know if you other 2 guys as well, but I knew us 3 would kind of get into it a little bit. Fickell's a fine coach, Corey. He had a losing record. Just hold on. He had a losing record at Ohio State because they had a coach who got immediately fired. He got just brought in like that, and they played a really, really tough schedule. You can say all you want, he didn't have a winning record, but he didn't have a winning record. There's a lot of hoopla going on in that locker room, stuff like that. It's tough to have a winning season when something bad like that happens. He had a team with Ritter and Sauce make the college football playoff, and you don't think that he can have that kind of success at Wisconsin?
What was Ohio State's record the year after he left?
When you had Urban Meyer coming in and everybody wanted to go to Ohio State.
It was the same team that played the year before. It wasn't like there was a transfer portal. It wasn't like there was this influx of talent. It was still Braxton Miller.
Braxton Miller had a position change, though, too. So
not that first year. He was the starting quarterback, and they went undefeated, and they were sanctioned. They couldn't make it to the conference championship game. It was the same exact team with Urban Meyer, less than 6 months to coach them, and they go undefeated. I'm not saying Luke Fickell's a bad coach either. I'm saying that this system is not going to work in the West. Not with the talent pool that they recruit from. I don't think these offensive linemen, the dairy, whatever you want to call it, I don't think that
dairy raid, yeah,
the dairy raid. I don't think that talent pool fits an air raid scheme. I really think this is a square peg round hole situation, and I think that they're going to lose some games early because of it. And I think that Fickell, if he's worth his stripes like everybody believes, he's going to have to pivot, and he's going to have to lean on Braylon Allen. I think you're going to see that happen this year. In time, maybe it works, but when's the last time that Wisconsin had a receiver to get drafted? His name was Jared Abbrederis. How long ago was that? And we're going to just say that they're going to be successful in an air raid system?
So my, I guess, counterpoint to that is you're saying that they don't recruit quarterback that could really fit that system. That's why they went and got Tanner Mordecai, who cooked down at SMU. I was just talking so much about Garrett Riley earlier and how much he had that really just high-flying offense in that sense where really throwing the ball a ton. I think that's why you go and get a guy like Mordecai to kind of get you in that first year. They might try to recruit more of a, I guess, air raid style quarterback in the future with their future recruiting classes. But Tanner Mordecai is all around. And I like DK at receiver. I mean, and listen, I'm not saying that Wisconsin's not going to run the ball plenty with Braylon Allen, because you're going to have to. If you have that good of a running back, you have to. But Tanner Mordecai can hold his own. And I think that they really probably are going to be a lot better on offense than they have been in years. So I know that there's probably a certain level of hype that comes with Luke Fickell, and people are a little bit doubtful because of, it was at Cincinnati, what. But at the same time, I mean, since 2018, his worst season was a win season. Like he can coach. And I mean, he did take Cincinnati to the CFP. Yes, they got their pants pulled down, but that's besides the point. You still had to get there in the first place.
Yeah, you know who else would have taken a team to a college football playoff? Scott Frost's UCF team would have gone to the college
False. Action, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm trying to raise my hand here. You guys won't give me any airtime, baby. I hope Corey's right, by the way, because I hate Wisconsin with a passion. So I hope he's right about everything he said. The only thing that scares me is I just went through the list again last year. They were only an underdog in one football game. They returned 18 starters. They just underachieved. So I think Corey's right on hopefully the system won't work. But if there's a team that underachieved last year, it's Wisconsin. I mean, you were the favorite in 12 football games and only won 7. They got to be better. Kristen Leonard, just didn't get the job done last year.
And I'm not completely blind. I will concede Mordecai's good. If this system is going to succeed, it takes a quarterback. I just don't think that he's Big Ten champion good. Maybe he can win the West.
That's fair.
The talk coming out of Madison is that they're going to throw it around. And I think if they commit to that mindset, I don't think they're winning the West. That's the main thing. I get this is what's going to get everybody to freak out. I get Bill Callahan vibes out of this scheme going into Wisconsin. I really, really do. I think you really need to focus on 2 tight ends and a fullback if you're going to win at Wisconsin, and that air raid needs to be the sprinkle, not the main ingredient. And I think if they make that the main ingredient, it screams Bill Callahan to me.
And I will say before we go on, Corey, the whole system thing not working at Wisconsin, that is a whole nother thing. And that I somewhat agree with. It's when you bring up Fickell's record in the Big Ten and compare that to Wisconsin, that's where I kind of draw the line. He's a fine coach. Okay, that I kind of figured. He's a fine coach otherwise, but I just think bringing up his Big Ten record, displaying that as his coaching in the Big Ten, I don't think is fair.
I mean, if we count the bowl game from last year, is Wisconsin 1-0 under Luke Fickell? Maybe. He's undefeated. Technically, he was hired by then, right?
Yeah.
They're undefeated.
Thomas, do you have anything? You've been kind of quiet this whole time. Are you good?
I'm good. I mean, I just don't want to agree with Corey. We've seen even spread offenses that aren't pass based, like Scott Frost's Nebraska. If you're not Ohio State, you don't recruit like Ohio State is capable of. You cannot have a team that's going to throw the ball around in late October and November in the Midwest. I mean, we've seen how many years Maryland goes 5-0 and they score like 75 points a game in September, and then they go up to like Iowa City or Minneapolis or something, they get shut out. I mean, it's just not a system that works in these weather games. It's not necessarily freezing cold, but I mean, you start to see temperatures that are lower and wind that is like 45 miles an hour. I mean, it's just something that I haven't seen it work other than Ohio State, because they recruit only 5-star dudes, like badass dudes that are going to go to the NFL. That's the only place that's really worked.
Hey, give Drew Brees his credit.
Yeah, I mean, that was like 100 years ago, but I mean, yeah.
I know.
All right, so are we all good? All grievances? Yeah. All grievances. All right, everyone shake on it. Everyone put your hand.
Can we all go on the record and say Iowa sucks and Air France will fail this year, or no?
No, we're not saying that.
I am going to bet the over in Hawkeye games this year.
Easy over there, action. Easy.
Hey, actually, real quick before we go on action, Minnesota +7.
Oh, you're in Nebraska. Who's the Nebraska guy? Yeah,
I'm asking.
I'm sorry. It's Sky Ma. You're going to run into a buzzsaw.
All right, let's go.
First game for Coach Rule. He'll get a eye opener of what college football's like.
I love it. I love it.
All right, that's going to make for a good show. I love that. All right, Corey. All right, very good. Everybody shakes on it. We're all good.
Yep.
All right, very, very good. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on to the Big 12 now. So, odds to win the Big 12. We have Texas at -110 as the odds-on favorite. Oklahoma at +350. Kansas State at +700. Texas Tech at +1,000. TCU at +1,600. Baylor at +1,800. Iowa State at +2,500. Oklahoma State and UCF at +2,800. Kansas at +4,000. BYU at +6,000. Cincinnati at +6,000. West Virginia at +9,000. And Houston rounding it out at +10,000. Actually, we'll start with you this time. We've been kind of going to others for the conference periods. We'll start with you this time. What do you got for the Big 12?
I wanted to go last with this one. I'm going Texas. That's it. End of story. I have so many units on Texas and future bets that if they lose, I'm looking around the house trying to figure out what I'm going to sell to cover my losses. So please let the Longhorns win. And I don't remember who said it early, but if Arch Manning is the quarterback in week 6, I won't be on this show because I won't have power at the house.
All right. Sounds good. Beast, what do you got for the Big 12?
So as a dark horse, you guys are going to be like, this guy is nuts. But I'm going to take UCF at +2,800. First year in the Big 12. Everybody's sleeping on him. Hey, John Reese Plumlee is back, and he's a dog. I'm a big John Reese Plumlee guy. And I think UCF always kind of has that underdog mentality. You know they're going to go in this year with Gus Malzahn and think, hey, everybody's doubting us. We want to prove something, to everybody. There's a lot of people in the Big 12 that are doubting them and kind of sleeping on them. They're going to be hungry at +2,800. Why not take a little dart throw? They seem to be that team that likes to be underdogs. But as the winner, I got to go with Texas -110. There's been a lot of Quinn Ewers slander, I would say, today. I still kind of believe in Quinn Ewers, and I hate to say that because I'm typically not a huge Texas Longhorns guy. But Quinn Ewers, Xavier Worthy, it's a damn good connection. We're getting Whittington back as well. Offense was very good last year. And that defense also, returning some good pieces on a defense that I would say was equally as good as the offense last year. So the Big 12 can be a little bit hard to predict, but I'm kind of in on the Longhorns this year. Unfortunately, they look good to me.
Corey, what do you got for the Big 12?
I'll never put money on Texas. I just won't bet if it comes to putting money on Texas. There are very few teams that have that special place of hatred in my soul as Texas does. So I'm not doing. Plus, we're still talking about the program that has done the least with the most. For how many years now? I mean, since Vince Young, the least with the most. So I'm not putting money on. I'm sorry, Action. I'm not going to actually bet probably a whole lot on the Big 12 winner. So I will hope that you still have power here in about 6 weeks. I am rooting for you on that at least, but for you, not for them. If I'm going to take a winner, I mean, really the only team in this conference that is a favorite in general that ends up winning the conference is Oklahoma.
Damn right.
So take that with a grain of salt. But I really like the long shot bet here. I'm going to definitely put a little sprinkle on this. A team that's getting overlooked, that's I think averaged 9 wins, maybe more over the last 4 or 5 years, that nobody's talking about, and that's BYU. I think that BYU is getting massively disrespected. I don't think that the competition is so much more elevated to the point where they can't overcome the difference there. And we've seen teams make a shift to a bigger conference or a more competitive conference and succeed early. So I think BYU definitely has a chance to make some type of a run in this conference. And at plus 6,000, I mean, that's worth a little bit of a sprinkle.
Yeah.
All right. Nope. That's very good. For me personally, got a team that I like for value is a team that hasn't been listed yet. It's Texas Tech. A lot like Duke in the fact that they returned pretty much everybody. You know, Shucks coming back after taking over midway through the season last year. They also got a really, really stud wide receiver that not many people are going to talk about because he's from Austin Peay, but his name is Dre McCray. He had over 1,000 yards and 9 TDs last year. Very, very solid wide receiver. And their core is going to be very good. You know, they end up winning 5 out of their last 7 games last year. They're going to have a little momentum going into this year. So I think if you're looking at value, you got plus 1,000 with Texas Tech. When I go into the show, I always set fandom aside. I've always been like that. You know, I don't bet Iowa. I don't bet Oklahoma. I always set fandom aside. And I'm not going to bet this, but I have to say a lock just because, you know, I mean, why would I not say a lock, obviously? They're not back, and I want to throw up bad, but I'm going to take Texas to win the Big 12. Ewers, you know, he played okay down the stretch there. The thing that's making me bet Texas is that wide receiver tight end combo they got with Xavier Worthy and Jordan Wigington, as well as Jatavian Sanders. They're also returning all 5 starting linemen. Very, very impressive in the Big 12. I think the Big 12 is down this year, and Texas is going to take advantage of it. But the good news for me is that if Oklahoma wins, I just have a take wrong. That's normal for me. I can live with having a take wrong. But if Texas wins, I'm a shark. So it's a win-win for me no matter what. So I actually really like that. I'm going to take Texas to win the Big 12, and I hate it, and I hope they don't, is all I'll say on that.
I respect it.
Thomas, wrap it up. Big 12.
All right. Yeah, I was a little bit on Texas Tech, but I'm gonna shift my value bet. I'm gonna go with Kansas State.
Good one.
4-year starter, Will Howard at quarterback. Senior quarterbacks tend to be good, you know, unless they're like Iowa quarterbacks. But I mean, looking at their schedule too, they got 4 road games in conference at Oklahoma State, which is winnable, at Texas Tech, which is like probably between those two, you know, like kind of a toss up. At Texas, they'll lose. At Kansas, I think they can win. I think they can do good things. So plus 700, that's a good value. And then I'm on Texas too. I think they're really the, like, hands down, like we talked about ACC where there's not really a dark horse. I mean, that's why they're minus 110. I mean, Texas is far and away the best team in the conference.
Yep, couldn't agree more. All right, sounds good, gentlemen. Let's transition now from the Big 12 to the Pac-12 now, the last season of the Pac-12. So let's take a moment of silence for our dear friends in the Pac-12. All right, odds to win the Pac-12. We got USC at plus 170, the odds-on favorite. Oregon and Washington both coming in at plus 330. Utah at plus 450. Oregon State at plus 1,100. UCLA at plus 1,400. Washington State at plus 2,500, Colorado at plus 5,000, Arizona plus 5,500, California at plus 6,000, Arizona State at plus 15,000, and Stanford coming in at plus 30,000 to win the Pac-12. Corey, we'll start with you this time. What do you got for the Pac-12?
All right, so I guess as a lock, you know, while Lincoln Riley can't win the big game, he usually does. He usually is able to win the conference. So I'm going to go with the favorites. I'm going to go with USC, returning Heisman Trophy winner. It's kind of a boring pick. There's really not a whole lot to say here. They'll outscore most of the teams that they play. And I don't think there's another team that is going to keep up with them. So I'll go with USC. But if there was a team that could stop them, I do believe in Utah to be able to be that team. So for my value, I will take Utah. They have shown that they're capable of winning this conference and being a force to be reckoned with, especially on the defensive side of the ball. So if you're going to beat USC, that's kind of the recipe, and they do that recipe the best. So values Utah and lock is USC.
All right, sounds good. Thomas, what do you got for the Pac-12?
My value, I'm gonna go with Oregon State. Just looking squarely at the schedule again. I think they have a favorable one. I really like Damian Martinez. And I mean, I don't really truly believe in them, but I mean, I think if there was going to be a team that shocks the final season of the Pac-12, I think Oregon State would be it. I think there's 3 teams that are really good. And I'm actually going to go with Washington as my champion. And Penix to win the Heisman, doubling down on that. They got pretty favorable. They go at USC, but I mean, they get Oregon at home. I think that might be second place if Oregon State doesn't, come out and do amazing things, I guess. But yeah, I think they'll be in the conference championship game, probably against USC, and get a chance to play him for a second time, maybe beat him.
I hope Michael Penix works out better than Keaton Slovis did for you last year.
Yeah, I mean, where's he at this year? BYU?
Yeah, he is, isn't he?
Corey's dark horse pick on the Big 12.
Yep, there you go. I forgot about that.
Heisman possibility right there.
Action, what do you got for the Pac-12?
I actually agree with Corey here. I have USC winning it. They get Utah and Washington at home, so I think that favors them. And the dark horse, Utah, 17-3 in the Pac-12 over the last 2 years, back-to-back Rose Bowls, 16 starters back, and they're the 4th favorite in the conference? Yeah, that's value to me, so I'm going to play Utah. So, Corey, you nailed it. Nice work.
There we go. Beast, what do you got for the Pac-12?
All right, is my dark horse or kind of value play? I'm going to go Washington at plus 330. Like you guys said, Michael Penix Jr., we love him. He's a stud. I kind of miss when Penix Jr. was at Indiana and we didn't know if it was Penix. I liked when we called him Penix because it kind of sounded like another word. But moving on, Washington has a great schedule. They get both Oregon and Utah at home, and I think a lot of people forget how much that might mean in the Pac-12. I think they could survive to kind of that Pac-12 championship, and you make it to the championship, you got a shot because I think it's a relatively wide open division or conference just as far as talent. But as far as my winner, I'm going to take USC plus 170. Just love Caleb Williams. Lincoln Riley is that guy, and I don't really see a scenario where USC misses the Pac-12 championship unless Caleb Williams was to get hurt. I don't really see a scenario where they miss it. So I'm going to go with USC at plus 170. That's actually pretty good value if you ask me.
Okay. Sounds good. My value and my lock is one and the same, and Corey and Action both touched on it. I'm taking Utah to win the Pac-12. Action actually took the exact point I was going to make. They're 17-3 in the conference for the past 2 years. They've gone to back-to-back Rose Bowls. They won the conference last year, and they're the 4th best odds to win the conference. I'm taking that all day. Cam Rising showed the QB he can be last year. I can talk good about Cam Rising because DJ is not on the show, so I appreciate that aspect of it. But I know he's coming off an ACL tear. They don't know if he's going to be ready for the season opener. I think when he does come in and he is ready to go, he's going to be solid. Last year, he had 3,000 yards, 26 TDs to 8 INTs. That's pretty solid numbers. I'm not going to lie. And outside of Rising, they returned both their starting wide receivers from last year and 7 starters on an incredibly solid defense. I know people are going to talk about the overwhelmingly good offense that USC is going to have, or they're going to write about Oregon and Bo Nix and how good they're going to be, or Washington and Michael Penix and stuff like that. Utah finds a way to get stuff done. every single year. Kyle Whittingham is a great coach, and I believe in the Utes this year. So I'm taking Utah to win the Pac-12. And that is going to do it for the Pac-12. Let's round out with the SEC before we go on to week 0 locks and call her a day. SEC, we got odds-on favorite Georgia at -115, Alabama at +240, LSU at +450, Texas A&M at +1200, Tennessee at +1600, Ole Miss at +4000, Auburn at +5000, Kentucky and Florida at +6000, South Carolina and Arkansas at +10,000, Mississippi State at +12,500, Missouri at +20,000, and the longest shot of any Power 5 team to win their conference, Vanderbilt at +75,000 to win the SEC. Thomas, I will start with you this time. What do you got for the SEC?
First, I just want to say that I don't know if anybody's on this panel is gonna talk about Texas A&M, but like every single year they have to be the most overrated team coming into the season. Every single year, Vegas is so high on them, and then they lose like a game like 10-7 or something in September to some team. My value pick, I'm going Tennessee. Once again, I'm looking at the schedule. They get everybody at home. I mean, their road games are at Missouri, at Kentucky, at Bama. That kind of didn't make sense, I guess, what I was saying. But, I mean, they'll probably lose that. Bama's going to want, revenge for that game, but maybe a one-loss scenario. They beat Georgia, something like that. I don't know. Maybe Georgia slips up, but I kind of doubt it because, my lock is going to be Georgia. And, you got to dethrone them before you can go somewhere else, I think. I mean, -115 is what it is, but yeah, I think Georgia's the team again. Also, very easy schedule. Their only game is at Tennessee the whole year. I mean, you can put that sim the season, and you're be in the SEC championship more than likely.
Okay, sounds good. I'm going to agree with you on the lock. We'll get to that in a second. I'm big on Ole Miss this year. I like them for value at +4,000. I know they got a QB battle. It's kind of unknown right now. Dart, I think, is still very, very solid. And bringing in Spencer Sanders from Oklahoma State is making Dart that much better. So I think either one of them is going to do really good. But I talked about Quinshawn Junkins, how good he was as a freshman. I think he's going to be very solid again this year. They also had some massive transfer picks up this year. They got Zachary Franklin from UTSA, who played along Frank Harris. He had over 1,100 yards and 15 TDs. Last year, they got Louisiana Tech's Trey Harris, who had 935 yards and 10 TDs. They lost the receivers. Those are two solid receivers to bring back. So I like them a lot. I like Ole Miss a lot. I think it's an underrated team in the SEC West. So I like them quite a bit. I'm with Thomas, though. I like Georgia -115. It's chalk, I know, but Carson Beck's still going to be fine. I know people are going to talk about, you lost a guy like Stetson Bennett from last year. Beck's going to be fine. He's gonna do all right. And if he isn't fine, he has guys like Brock Bowers, Ladd McConkey, and a bunch of other really receivers as well that are going to be very, very solid. And most people are going to say, well, Georgia, what about their defense? They're returning 7 starters on defense. They're still very, very solid or 6 starters, excuse me. They're still very, very solid on the defensive end. I think and like Thomas said, they have the easiest schedule in all of the SEC. I think this is probably one of my easiest locks of this show. I'm taking Georgia to win the SEC. Corey, who do you have? What do you got for the SEC?
All right. So the way I feel about this is kind of similar to the way I feel about Michigan in general. I don't think Georgia's overrated. I don't think the pendulum's swinging that way, but I don't think that they're going to win the SEC 3 times in a row. Okay. I don't think that they're going to win the national championship 3 times in a row. I think at some point, all good things come to an end. I do think that Bama had to get a fire lit under them in order to take down Georgia. And I think Georgia having this level of success is that fire. So for my lock, I'm going to go with Bama. I just don't, I don't think Georgia wins the SEC title game for a 3rd time in a row. Now for value, if Bama doesn't make the SEC title game, it's probably going to be LSU. And for my long shot, I'm going to kind of reiterate what Kyle said with Ole Miss. I think if a team outside of Bama and LSU win that division, it's Ole Miss. I really like what they have coming back on offense. I've already kind of talked about that So value would be LSU. My lock is Bama, and my long shot's going to be Ole Miss.
Okay, very good. Beast, what do you got for the SEC?
I got LSU as my dark horse play at plus 450. Just a big Jaden Daniels fan here. Got to ride with those guys here. As much as it frustrates me to say, I think Brian Kelly actually has a pretty good squad this year. And shout out Kyle's college football guide that's given me a lot of the stats I've rattled off. But one of the main ones I really like here is LSU's returning 4 offensive linemen. I mean, that is massive when you talk about SEC football. That matters. So at plus 450, that's a really good value play. Might as well take a shot on it. But I got to go with, just like Corey said, I'm going to take Alabama as my winner at plus 240. This is Nick Saban's he loves this. Everybody's writing him off. I saw Paul Finebaum on ESPN the other day saying, is Nick Saban's run of dominance over? Is Nick Saban washed? He might not have said washed, but he pretty much said it. He said, is his reign of college football over? I think there is a ton of disrespect being put on Nick Saban, a ton of disrespect being put on Bama. This is what Nick Saban lives for. Who cares if they don't have Bryce Young? Who cares if they don't have Jahmyr Gibbs? They recruit better than anybody in the country, and I think that they can put the right guys in the right positions, kind of fill those holes. Listen, Georgia's replacing a quarterback just like Bama is. It could be anybody's conference. So I think Bama's a good look at plus 240.
One could say it's the anti-rat poison.
There you go.
Also, Paul Finebaum can lick the inside of a toilet seat. Screw that guy.
I love that.
He is the worst.
He is, man. He drives me nuts.
He is the worst. Action, wrap it up for us.
I'll agree with a lot of the takes on Alabama. They'll be my winner at the plus 240. And Thomas, yes, I'm the sucker at the table. From a long shot perspective, you bring in Bobby Petrino as your offensive coordinator at A&M. You return 20 starters. You underachieve like mad. You got the best roster money can buy. As a long shot at plus 1,200, I'd touch A&M.
Yeah.
Well, Thomas just called you a sucker, so how do you feel about that?
No, I said I was the sucker because, the Rounders, the one guy at the table's the sucker, and I'm the guy buying into A&M.
Okay. All right.
Well, yeah, I mean, that at Miami, Florida game is going to be interesting, brother. But I mean, I could see him being good. I mean, they always have the talent. They're recruiting the best state in the entire nation. I just don't know why it never works out.
Yeah.
Nothing personal against A&M or anybody, but I mean, every single year it's the same thing. So
I do have something.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I do have something personal against those preseason videos. Those guys are so weird. They're just.
Oh yeah, they got weird cult stuff going on there. That's a good point.
I remember Beerus tweeted a video about their practice facility being right next to a train, and Texas A&M fans were going after him because of it. Because he was making fun because they were literally practicing right next to a train. He goes, "You have all this money and you're practicing next to like a train station." And yeah, Texas A&M fans were going at his throat for it.
Their fans have been rabid since Johnny Man left, and they have not been relevant since Johnny Football left. So, I mean, I hate to say it, but they are rabid.
I mean, there's just something to say about the state of Texas doing the least with the most.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good, gentlemen. Well, hey, that was really, really good commentary. I like that a lot. Let's round out with week 0 play. So we usually, we'll talk about a bunch of different games, stuff like that. Not going to do that for week 0. So just give any play you want for week 0. All our lines, again, shout out to our friends at Better Edge, provide us with these lines. So we'll just round out with week 0 plays, any plays you'd like for week 0. So we got for week 0, Navy and Notre Dame in Dublin, Ireland. That game being played at 1:30 on NBC and Peacock. Line right now, Notre Dame minus 20 and an over-under of 50.5. We have UTEP taking on Jacksonville State at 4:30 p.m. Central Time on CBS Sports Network. UTEP minus 1 and an over-under of 51.5. We got, a barn burner of a game that I think everybody should tune into. We got UMass at New Mexico State at 6 p.m. Central Time on ESPN. New Mexico State minus 8 and an over-under of 42.5. We got Ohio taking on Cincinnati at 6 p.m. Central Time on FS1. Line right now, San Diego State minus 3.5 and an over-under of 49. We got Hawaii at Vanderbilt, another barn burner game at 6:30 p.m. Central Time on SEC Sports Network. Line right now, Vanderbilt minus 18.5 and an over-under of 54.5. We got San Jose State at USC at 7 p.m. Central Time on the Pac-12 Network. That line is USC minus 30.5 and an over-under of 63.5. And finally, we have Florida International taking on Louisiana Tech at 8 p.m. Central Time on CBS Sports Network. That line is Louisiana Tech minus 10.5 and an over-under of 59. So, Beast, we'll start with you. We'll start with you for this one. What plays do you have for weeks? I know down the road you might change these, and that's totally fine. But just right now, what plays are you liking for week 0?
Yeah, so I got 2 plays. I'll try to keep them short and sweet because you guys know I like to talk. So we're going to start with Ohio and San Diego State under 49 points. San Diego State defense averaged only 21.7 points per game allowed last year, but their offense was outside of the top 100 in points per game and yards per game. And then you have an Ohio offense that, you know what, they'll probably be good in the MAC, but I think they're going to have a lot of issues against that San Diego State defense. I just look at this game as probably like a 24-17 game. It could go either way, but I'd see it going well under 49. Take that under. And then we're going to go to USC and San Jose State over 64.5 points. Everybody knows USC. Everybody knows Caleb Williams, Lincoln Riley. That offense is going to be electric. They are going to light up that San Jose State defense. But do not sleep on San Jose State and Shavon Cordero. The transfer out of Hawaii last year came into San Jose State, was a stud with 23 touchdowns to 6 picks last year. They averaged 28 points per game last year. I think they could give us maybe, let's just say 23, 24 points of probably some garbage time points. But, hey, you give me 24 points, I can see USC putting up like 48. We get a 48-24 type game. We're going to go well over 64.5. I think we cover that one. 2 good quarterbacks, if you're being honest. Take the over there.
Okay, very good. Corey, what do you got for week 0?
All right, we got 2 absolute blue blood sickos committee matchups here. Absolute sickos committee. We got UMass at New Mexico State. We got Hawaii at Vanderbilt. I'm not making a play on both of them, but I am making a play on one of them. I am going to take the under in UMass at New Mexico State. I think that is going to be horrendously ugly. I think it's going to be fun to root for the under in that one. I just think it's just going to be gross and all the sickos committee glory. And then the other 2 plays that I'm going to make are going to be team total overs. I'm going to go with Notre Dame's team total over. It's at 34.5 right now. I think that they could definitely score 35 points on Navy. I really like where that line's sitting at. And then the other one, and this is one that I'm going to hammer all year long, and I'm going to play it until it burns me. I'm going to take USC's team total over pretty much every week, and it's at 48.5 right now. Wish it was at 48 even, but I will pay for that. I will take 48.5. Take the over on that.
That is a football number, Corey. Don't you complain about that.
Just speaking.
Nope, completely get it. Thomas, what do you got for week 0?
Yeah, I like that USC team total as well. I'm not gonna play it though. I will play it, but I won't play it on the show. I'm gonna take Notre Dame minus 20. If you're gonna play against a triple option offense, I mean, the time to do it is the first game of the year. They could have been working on it all August. The next week, I think they have like Tennessee State or something. So I mean, I think like all their focus is on stopping this, and I think they're a little bit better. They'll definitely start better than what they did last year. With their schedule, but I mean, like, I think Notre Dame minus 20. I think I'm gonna put a big bet on it. And then I'm gonna go with Vandy minus 18.5. They're gonna be playing at a high school stadium, because SEC football. So I mean, that place is just gonna be rocking. All like 3,000 fans that are there. So I'm really looking forward to watching Hawaii at Vanderbilt in a high school football stadium. It's going to be excellent TV.
None of you laughed at that Thomas joke, but that was actually pretty funny.
I can't wait to like overreact to Hawaii versus Vanderbilt entering next week. And just like, if Hawaii wins by a bunch, I'll hammer Hawaii next week. And then if Vanderbilt wins, like, it's going to be overreaction central. I'm going to be like, dude, Hawaii is so good this year. Or like, Vanderbilt's so good this year.
I just know I learned my lesson betting Hawaii in their first game because I took that over last year, and that was way too stressful. I don't want to touch Hawaii's opening game this year.
Yep, I'm kind of the same way. Action, we'll go to you. What do you got for week 0?
You guys nailed kind of the picks I had on my card. Kyle, you'll know this stat, but Lincoln Riley, in his last 5 years as head coach, his team has been favored by 21 or more points 24 times. Out of those 24 games, 20 of them have gone over this total. So I love the Beast play on the total with USC and San Jose State. Absolutely great. And I think Corey had the team total like that as well. And then UMass, New Mexico State. Jerry kills at New Mexico State. And I have fond memories of Jerry just grinding clock against Iowa and kicking the Hawkeyes' butt. He likes to win ugly games. And as Coach Kill always used to say, after the first game, after 60 minutes of football, there's only one number or stat that matters, and that's 1-0. New Mexico State will win it, but it's going to be low scoring. So I go with Corey there as well.
All right.
Paramedics on standby. Sorry.
To wrap it up, I got 4 plays so far. I might change it up here. I'm taking Navy Notre Dame under 50.5. Navy plays the game a lot slower than Notre Dame does, and as much as you prepare for the triple option, I know you had all offseason prepare for the triple option. When you actually face it, it's way, way more difficult than any other time. So I think that the game's going to slow down. I don't see this game being very high scoring. So I like the under 50.5. I'm taking New Mexico State -8 as well. I wrote about all 133 teams in college football. UMass was by far the worst team to write for. I hated writing for that team. They are going to be absolutely terrible. So I'm taking UMass -8 here. I think fading UMass all season long is absolutely going to be the play and will make you profit. So I like that a lot. I'm taking Ohio, and I'm taking the money line against San Diego State. I think San Diego State is coming in with a lot of hype. They lost a lot of starters last year, didn't gain much in the transfer portal. And I think Ohio has a really, really solid shot to win the MAC this year. They're returning a lot of starters as well. And I think they're going to surprise some people this year. So I'm taking Ohio money line. I think you can get that in the plus 120 range or something like that. So I like Ohio a lot. And then I'm also taking Louisiana Tech -10.5. Hank Bachmeier is taking over as Louisiana Tech's wide receiver. They have a really solid running back in Marquise Colby, who had nearly 1,000 yards rushing last year. They lost some starters, but I think they did well by picking up in the transfer portal. And I think Louisiana Tech wins by a minimum of 2 TDs. So I like Louisiana Tech -10.5. So those will be my plays. But gentlemen, this was fun. We got week 0 out of the way. Next week, we're going to have a whole new show format. That's something brand new that I'm really looking forward to doing with you guys. But yeah, any last thoughts before we call her a day?
You know what, Kyle? I wanted to kind of pipe in, but I wanted to let you have your thing on Louisiana Tech. That's a great play. Their coach, Sonny Gumby, correct? That's his name?
I believe so, yeah.
Big 12 offensive coordinator for years. I remember hyping him up last year because it was his first season. And I was like, man, Louisiana Tech, their offense is going to be great this year. First season struggles last year, but I think they get some things working this year in year 2. I think that's a good play for week 0. You're digging in the weeds, man, and you got to find something like that. So I think you're spot on with that play.
All right. Thank you, Beast. I appreciate that. Yeah. Well, gentlemen, this has been a lot of fun. Action. We're glad to have you aboard this year, and you're going to be a good asset to our crew. And Corey and Thomas, as always, good to see you. Beast, I'm excited to see you in a couple weeks. That's going to be fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So that'll be fun. But gentlemen, that'll do it for episode 1 of the Kota Kappa College Football Central show. Tune in next week as we bring on a brand new show format for you, and we cover games from week 0. See you, fellas.
Peace out.
Bye.